today and enjoyed some of that sunshine and some vitamin D. We finally got over to Montana and brought my son home. I mean, my landscaper home. So now I get all my lawns mowed and get some pressure washing done. It's awesome. So my son is home for the summer. Got a few different things going on. Rentals. Hope everybody's rentals are doing well. And vacancies. We had 3 come up in May. Put it out there, and I don't know how many people advertise on Zillow, which then goes out, syndicates out, but they're now charging $10 a week. They got to monetize that, but we put it out there, had quite a few hits, and we've probably got all 3 of them with somebody interested. So it seems to be people are moving around a little bit more. We're down in Thurston County. I didn't get a lot of military this round that I know of, which should be in that PCS time right now. If anybody out there has military rentals, that's where they move bases. But good applicants, so people are starting to move around a little bit more now. With the past legislature, everything that came out, we passed a few bills this session. Probably one of the big ones was House Bill 1236. So if everybody, needs to kind of get out and follow that, that's statewide just cause eviction now. And so that's not just certain areas, it's statewide. And then it also has some other things in there, and I have not read the bill fully yet, what actually passed yet. But parts of that had, we have to notify everybody that they have an attorney appointed now by the state. We have to notify them for a repayment plan if they're late on rent. So we have to work with them on that type of stuff. Your lease, I believe part of that was where the lease was going to be basically perpetual. You can do a 1-year lease, and 60 days prior to the end of that lease, you could give them notice that you were not going to renew that. But once you got past that point, or if you went month to month or any other type of stuff, it's perpetual, you have to go through the eviction process. And don't quote me 100% on that. Let's go through and read the whole thing. RHA, Rental Housing Association of Washington, is going to be doing one of their online classes May 19th. You need to sign up for that at rhawa.org, I believe. But that's Chris Cutting, who is LT Services, and we've had him come out and speak for us before. And then Chester Baldwin, who's an attorney down in Thurston County and does a lot of stuff at the Capitol there. They're both co-hosting that, and they're going to be going over the new changes. So that's May 19th, 2 to 3:30. Of course, it's right in the time of day where it's nice in the evening after you get home from work, or well, maybe it's in the middle of the day for some of us. So other than that, I don't have a lot. Oh, next, and I haven't talked to you yet, Angelique, but next month, we've got another one looking at some of the stuff coming on, talking to a number of people. People are selling properties. But the new capital gains tax, if real estate stays in there, they also put in there for the 1031 exchange, that would be part of that. So you can't just exchange out of that. So there's some things coming down the road. So start paying attention to your investments and where do you do, what do you do with your investments? Do you want to keep them here? Do you want to invest other places? How do you manage that without, losing a lot of your gain? So 1031 exchanges, which will be great for tonight's stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then next month, Archer Investments out of California, and they do Delaware statutory trusts. There's a whole presentation on that where they can do a 1031 exchange. You go in as a partner into a larger project, so you don't have to actually exchange like for like. So that's one coming up. And then I've just lost my train of thought. I had somebody else after that, but it'll come back to me sooner or later. Angelique, I'll go back over to you.
different plays on value add for apartment buildings. So we're going to have him talking coming up here shortly. So we're working on the date on that as far as how it lays out with some other people we have coming up too. So that will be fun to hear him talk, how he manufactures and works those apartment buildings to make them more valuable. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so our very next meeting is going to be at the Bellevue Embassy Suites. So it's a live in-person event, and our main speaker is flying into town to talk with us about, he does a lot of deal evaluation analysis for us and how to market to sellers. He loves marketing strategies to sellers as far as probate and different strategies he uses, evictions, things like that, that are a little bit untraditional. You know, they're definitely out there and people do them, but they're little niches that he likes to use that he's learned from working in the mortgage industry in the past. So he's also going to have a full day event. It's not going to be the Saturday following the event. It's going to be the Saturday, June 5th, because the one immediately following the event was Memorial Day weekend. So we're going to do the weekend after. That's going to be a Saturday all day, and that is going to be a virtual event. So the main meeting is going to be a live event, but the follow-up all-day training is going to be a virtual event. All right? I know that's confusing. So that will be June 5th on the full day, and his partner, Rachel Schneider, will be joining him that day. The two of them work as a team, and they're a fun team to listen to. I've heard them talk before for REAPS 4 or 5 years ago, and they do a great job. They're really, really informative and bring you a lot of information. There's one other, Mike Sumsky is thinking about talking about, we just had a great session with him. So if you missed that, check it out in the members area on the webinars drop down members area for the REAPS website. He did an amazing meeting on deal evaluation and strategies he uses. He did a phenomenal job. So check that out. And he is going to be talking next about private money and seller financing kind of deals. So, all right, we're finally getting to Michael, who's been patiently waiting. Michael used to be a REAPS member and come a lot, and he actually used to do the market reports before I did them. And I haven't seen you around as much, Michael, so I'm presuming you're really busy these days. So you want to tell us about yourself and what's going on in your life and what you're up to?
Well, I appreciated that. I'm so excited to be here today and share some of the investment strategy for our member at the RIP. It's my favorite organization, to go through. Without COVID, that would be really nice. Well, without COVID, I'm supposed to be in Asia right now doing the investment tour. But well, I appreciate everybody, taking the time to come into the meeting today, even though it's online. That would be much nicer if we can see each other in person. Mr. Jeff, we would love to meet each other, shaking hand. We're excited to announcing, today I would like to share with you the EB-5 investment, the employment-based investment program in Seattle. And so the exciting news with the U.S. government, this is a federal program investment, but we're pretty excited to sharing that, Senator from Iowa, Senator Grassley, just introducing the bill to the Senate floor, and look like it's gonna be passed the Senate, and then it's gonna go to the House, and then it's gonna go to the president's desk to sign into law to extend the EB-5 employment-based regional center program. Go forward for until 2026, right? So that's going to be a great news for real estate investor, and also it's a great news for limited partnership. our investor that looking to invest to migrate to the U.S., right? So, you know, the EB-5 Regional Center, if first of all, I got a couple questions, you know, asking me about like, okay, you know, what would be what the EB-5 program, what the employment-based investment program, and what and how can you, as an investor, developer, that can make money from this regional center program, right? And so a little bit about myself is that I involved in real estate. I share with you guys this story that I came from Vietnam. My father is the U.S. Marine in Vietnam, the Republic of Vietnam before 1975. So I escaped Vietnam to China and then Hong Kong, and then make my way to Philippines, finally end up in Seattle. So that's the reason why I'm so passionate about immigration, right? And so I got involved in real estate in 1998, would then, you know, open up Windermere brokerage doing land entitlement development. Then in 2007, I met a gentleman in the Soto area. His name is Henry Lipman. He's the owner of the American Life Regional Center, right? So that's when we talking about like, you know, commercial real estate, equity investment fund through EB-5, and immigration, you know. So so let me kind of share with you some of the deal that's already built, leasing, and stabilized in a local marketplace. So EB-5 is they're over $3 billion of EB-5 that invested in equity and loan in the local Seattle, Bellevue, Puget Sound area, right? So if we're gonna look at a project like the high-rise project in the Tukwila, you know, there's $120 million when EB-5 financing like 86 million, right? So that project, you know, will make it happen with all the EB-5 investors. And then in the Soto area, we take a look at the project like King 5 News headquarters, right? That would be 100% EB-5 financing. And then we look at many other projects like the Embassy Suite Hotel, and then the 2 tower on the north side of the Seahawks Stadium. That's also EB-5, right? So EB-5 have made a significant impact in our local economy. But then, you know, it's so what is it that we need to learn about this great program that we can use to financing our real estate investment, right? That's all it is, right? So you know, EB-5 is EB-5 is for the developer. It's used for equity financing. It's also using that as a mezzanine loan. Or EB-5 for the investor apply and invest into the JCE project. The purpose of the investment is not really to a lot of us, we invest into commercial real estate. We want to get a good return for our investment. But the foreign investor, a lot of this, if you look at a lot of this investor invest into in their purpose, their motivation to invest is to get the green card, right? And US citizenship rather than the return on the investment. So usually it's great for the investor. They can invest and access into the US, obtaining US visa, green card. And then it's great for the investor like yourself or the developer like yourself that you can also be able to obtain and get in the lower, cheaper financing for your real estate investment. And so that's all good, right? So the project is creating jobs and economic municipality tax. And so it overall, it is a win-win transaction, right? So how do we look at EB-5, right? So the immigrant investor international program, if you look around Seattle and the east side, a federal way for Korean community, majority are EB-5 investor. In Bellevue, heavily investor, prior to the 2016, 82% of the real estate investor coming to Seattle, Bellevue area, coming from China. But then the trade war happened in 2016 all the way to 2020, and then COVID, right? And then the Congress changing the law, with the program. So that diverts more to other Asia countries like India and Vietnam. So we look at the three countries that have the most investor that invested in Seattle, Bellevue area, Puget Sound area. Number one would be like China. Number two would be in India, right? Because we know a lot of people working for Amazon, Microsoft, and Boeing. They're on the H-1B visa, right? So they dare to work for the company, but they don't have the resident status. So their resident status is good at their employment, right? So if you lose your job, you lose your residency. So it is a great demand in the marketplace, right? Yeah, so we set it up at a fund now. The history of the program in the last 2016 to 2020 is the most restrictive immigration action in the United States history. And then in the 2020, we got hit with a major COVID-19 pandemic, right? So the last 4 years, the last administration, roll out one of the most restrictive immigration across the country. And then in terms of building the border wall in the South. So there, according to the law, the top law office, a classical law office in Philadelphia, there are over 900 immigration restricted policy implemented, right? More than 50 executive order, and so much restrictive for immigrants to enter the U.S. Since 2016 to 2020, right? So there's so much legal challenge and pending. So of course, you already know that got reversed by the executive order of the new administration, right? So this is a real opportunity. A little bit about myself is that, I came from Vietnam. Here's a picture of myself that I worked in Hong Kong in 1989, in 1990, make my way to the US, right? And so, picture of me and my mom and my brother in the refugee camp when Hong Kong belonged to the United Kingdom back in the 90s. But then what happened is, Hong Kong returned to China in 1997, which shifted, few million investors, mainly real estate investors, to Canada and Australia, right? But I would say like 75% of immigrants that migrate out to avoiding to live with China communist regime back in 97. And as you know, the one country with two systems that not really work for China, right? So last year, they end up breaking the contract and took over Hong Kong. And what happened is that a lot of people wanted to migrate out of Hong Kong. So the story of myself, like from a refugee to a real estate investor, to become a real estate investor in the US, is that I go back to Hong Kong right now after 31 years later. The people in Hong Kong, they facing the same exact challenge that I faced 31 years ago, which is that try to run away from the communists, right? And then the issue with Taiwan, we see Taiwanese, top 10 economy in the world that has facing the same challenge with the republics of Taiwan, of China. So it is a threat that, people wanted to have peace of mind. They wanted to go to a different place. They seeking a different residency elsewhere, right? So the Statue of Liberty, if you look at the U.S. immigration back in the 18th, 19th century, most like 95% is from Europe, right? But today, it's 95% of immigrants come to come to the Pacific from Asia. So that is very significant, right? So what the joke I always have, like, if we're gonna have a Statue of Liberty in New York, we might want to build another Statue of Liberty in Alki Beach, because most of the immigrants nowadays coming from Asia, right? So I have a great conversation with lawmaker, you know, have lunch with you know, Speaker of the House, you know, when we come to Bellevue area, and then, you know, sit down and talk to on the PPP with private-public partnership with governor of both, you know, blue and red state. You know, this is when we come to the agreement that yes, EB-5 is great for America. EB-5 is good for economy, right? EB-5 is a good PPP, good private-public partnership program that creating more jobs, right? So I look at the, so here the opportunity, here the real opportunity. We're gonna look at the last 4 years, a lot of challenge with the immigrant, as you all know, right? So if you, the EB-5 program introduced in 1993 by US Congress, right? So President Bill Clinton come into the office in 1992, right? Really supported the program. Now, when you look at the investment, real estate, 92% of EB-5 financing investment in EB-5 is real estate, right? Real estate, commercial, and residential. And right now it's residential. So Congress passed the law in 1993 to allow this program to be active, legal, to use it to help to stimulate, to build the economy. And President Bill Clinton come into the office in 1992, and up until like 2000, he really supporting this program. That's why you see massive amount of capital that come into the Seattle, Bellevue area. It's part of the supported from the federal government program. And then what happened is the 43 President George W. Bush come into the office for 8 years. The administration is pro-immigration. That's why the program is keep expanding, keep getting bigger, right? And then, you know, in 2008 to 2016, we have President Obama coming to the office. He supersized the program. It's so much supportive. There's so much of the policy is really support the immigrant program. That's why you see the amount of investment capital coming to Seattle, you know, and then in the U.S. very significant, right? But then all that stopped in 2016 to 2020, right? Because of restricted on the immigration policy. So how are we looking at the next 10 years, right? So 2021 to 2031, where the opportunity will be. If we have one market like Seattle, Bellevue, that's already received a $3 billion in the capital from EB-5, would we be much more volume, much more investor come as the result of the backlog right now with the State Department in terms of processing the investor coming to the U.S., right? So Senator from Iowa, Senator Grassley, sending out the bill to the Senate floor, and they got overwhelming support from the Senate. It will pass the House of Representatives, and we sign that into law. It will be extended the program all the way until like 2026, right? I will happy to email you the bill. I'm excited that I wanted to share a great news with our member here at RIP. So it's a good program. Now the visa investment-based program, right now, if you look at like U.S. and Asia, that's where I came from. You know, I grew up in Vietnam, I live in China, operating, have an office over there, and then operating business in the U.S. All my life, I only know the 3 countries, right? And do business and speaking the 3 different languages, right? So, you know, the time is here. The time is here. We're gonna go into another run for the EB-5 program. So I went and applied with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, right? And get the approval for the largest regional center in the state of Washington, that including King, Peace County, and Sonoma County and all, right? real estate industry, other industry as well. So get an approval. So the first that I wrote down here is I say, what is the EB-5 program, right? Understanding that EB-5 program is the employment-based program that U.S. Congress passed into law, right? So that in 1993, right? So a lot of Americans don't know about it, you know, because this program is like for some of us, we're born in the U.S. and we probably not value the U.S. citizenship and all that, right? But you know, for the 76% of the world population in Asia, right? Because we like 4% of the world population. Well, it used to be like 5%. Now we're 4.5% of the world population. You know, so the other 76% of world population, they love to come here. That's the only way to get liberated, freedom, you know, better lives, you know, all of it, right? Is to come to the U.S., you know. So it is a Congress program. So, you know, and so understand, so what is the employment-based investor program? You know, U.S. government want to incentivize investor, right? Incentivize the investor, give them the benefit to get a U.S. citizenship through this investment visa. So every single year, we have about 10,000 visa that are available for the investor, right? That who can make the investment into the, what they call like NCE, you know, like new commercial enterprise, right? And, you know, I can help you to give you good advice, because I also own the regional center, right? We're setting up multiple funds that doing this program. I got $125 million fund that we're launching in this program, right? And so I think that we're gonna raise the fund that we need. Then so what is the employment-based application? It for the family. If you have like husband and wife and children under 21, you qualify to be in it, right? And you look at it, right? You look at in Bellevue area, if you look at the home ownership in Bellevue, 32% is immigrant, right? And then you look at Microsoft, you know, you look at most of the, large majority of the employee for Microsoft, they're holding the H-1B visa, right? And what happened with the H-1B visa, as you already know, you know, you don't really have a peace of mind holding the H-1B visa. You work for the company just because the visa started, right? So what you wanted to get, you want to get a permanent visa. So children under 21 can be qualified. So if you make an investment into a real estate, JCE, job creation enterprise, your family, husband and wife, children under 21 can qualify to apply for a visa, right? So I wrote down here, yes, the 1993, the increased investment from program, Congress introducing this pilot program, right? So then what is the regional center, right? Regional center is an entity that U.S. federal government approved to have to facilitate, to promote the economic growth in the local community area, right? So what is the basic requirement for the EB-5 program? So the investment requirement, when the program introduced in 1993, the minimum investment would be like 500K, right? But you have to invest into the designated regional center, and the regional center have to approve by the USCIS, right? And it's just like the regional center that we approved with the federal government. So we can help you to promoting your project, real estate project as well. If we think the project would be like great project, makes sense, right? So I wrote down here that yes, the money that invest into the EB-5 project, the money have to come in from like a legitimate and legal sources. I came from Vietnam. I work in China too, and most of the money from the foreign investor, they cannot prove where the money coming from. Like we always say, like those guys, they put money in the pillow, right? Or they coming from like single party government, and the government is, it's not a good idea to letting, the government know how much money you make or how much money you have, right? So tendency, most of the money from the investor, they need to really look at the U.S. government. They have to see the money and the legitimate where exactly the money coming from. That money coming from drug dealing, some legal sources, right? So when you work with investor, they want to get a U.S. visa. That's very important for the U.S. government. You can get rejection from the U.S. government just because you cannot prove where the money coming from, right? So the next thing I wrote down here is that the investment must create 10 full-time jobs. But 92% EB-5 is invest into the regional center, right? So the job is actually, it's not the direct job. It is the indirect job, right? So we're gonna use like economic report and the business plan and the cost of the project, the cost to build a project, to really determine how many indirect jobs the project is creating. So the rule from the federal government is say 10 indirect jobs per investor. So let's say that your real estate investment project or your real estate investment fund that, let's say that you do, let's say we're looking like in real estate investment, we're looking like A, D, C, right? We're looking like acquisition, development, construction, right? Let's say we look at ADC, let's say $100 million cost to build that, right? Including land cost, entitlement, permit, construction, financing, and holding cost. So let's say that we're gonna have that, and we're gonna run through the in-plan economic model and say, well, this project right here can create 1,000 jobs, indirect jobs. That means 10 jobs per investor. The project can allow up to 100 investors that you can raise money you can raise maximum to 100 jobs, right? So, and very important is that money have to be put at risk. Federal government stated very clearly in the law saying that if you a foreign investor, you invest into the U.S. community, creating jobs and economic growth, your money have to be put at risk. That means that if you would invest into a JC project, a real estate project, the project can go belly up, and you can lose money, but you still get the U.S. citizenship, right? So the reason that we have over $3 billion invest in Seattle and Bellevue is that most of the investors, they wanted to invest into a project and be a passive investor, right? They just wanted to invest money there and then let the company, creating the job according to the business plan, right? So they don't want to get involved with the day-to-day activity. I mean, like for myself, coming from Vietnam, coming to the US and operating a business and deal with all the labor law, business law, and all that is very complicated. All the investors, they just want to loan the money at an equity or a loan model, and then they go and apply for US citizenship. So their motivation to invest is to get a US citizenship, right? And so that's a good opportunity for the developer to be able to help those people out, at the same time be able to borrow money or to get an equity at a lower rate, right? So the process and the timing here is that when you say that you got the funding, you got a 900K, but in November 19 of 2019, the government changed it from 500,000 to 900,000 in the location called the TEA, right? Target Unemployment Area. So the timing would be taken after you prove that you got the money from that you can prove the fund is legitimate sources where the funding coming from. Then you can invest into the project, right? And then the project have to approve by the regional center. So it's gonna take about 5 to 6 months from the initial investment to apply to get a US visa and approve so that they can enter the US. And for those that already stay in the US, they want to make like a conversion from another visa into an investment visa. then this is that is the time that what it takes. Then the visa application would take to 8 to 12 months, right? 8 to 12 months. So then the I-829 petition is the removal condition. It's gonna take up to like 24 months from immigration. Okay, so that's the regional center. Let me ask you guys. Are you guys falling asleep? Yes.
No, trying to follow.
Okay. I tell you one thing. I'm an immigrant guy, right? Then
Yeah.
I'm passionate. I'm excited about the opportunity to bring in more LP investor to Seattle Bellevue area, to our local area, funding the project, creating more jobs, helping with the solution that we have very shorted housing here, right? At the same time, helping our investor get U.S. citizenship too, right? So that's great. That's great. So let me gonna go a few more. We have regional center here in the state of Washington. As you already know, the government is gonna pass the law to extend the program. This is the right time to get in and learn more about this program, right? And go around checking out like $1.3 billion in the SoDo area with a 56 property, right? That already invested, right? So if you wanted to know more, and we in a multiple state, right? I have project in California that I'm helped to sponsor, right? I was there a couple of days ago to sponsor a Hilton hotel condo projects. Then I got 2 projects in Texas, one in Dallas and one in Houston. But then most of the work that I sponsor is here. Right now we have another $100 million fund that we sponsor. Then we sponsor another $9 million fund project in Marysville. Then we have potentially another 600 unit apartment in Woodinville that we're doing, right? So state of Washington, Seattle already have a very strong immigrant, which will make it really easy for you. If your project is using EB-5 financing, it make it much easier to raise the money, because over here we already have a very strong immigrant community. Let me kind of share with you, like Korean community, right? Chinese American community, Vietnamese community, and Japanese community, and Indian community, Indian American community, right? So they're already a strong base of the investor that's already here. Plus Seattle, and we all here, we are very fortunate to be here. It's a great market area, right? And so get to learn more about this fund, direct this fund to your project or your client project, right? So this is the last quick the project documentation. As you know that about like opportunity zoning, it's a big thing in the U.S., right? If you look at the people go after the opportunity zoning, we create there's a lot of funding in real estate that go into opportunity zoning. But this is similar to opportunity zoning. It's a TEA zoning, target unemployment area, right? So what did that mean by calling TEA funded, right? So that means that the project that you invested in, it had to be located in an area that have 150% more unemployment rate compared to the national average. You guys let me know. Love to help you guy out. But in order for you to create an EB-5 fund, then you need immigration attorney, right? Expert in immigration attorney. You need security attorney to helping you out, right? I done so long, and I done so many projects. I got a great work with good team, for that. You also need to have like a business plan writer, professional to write about your business plan. That you're gonna take this business plan, right? You submit that to the U.S. government, DHS, right? Department of Homeland Security, and they're gonna say, okay, this is the project, this is the operator, this is the market, This is how you're gonna build a project. This is how you're gonna take the investment fund. This is how you're gonna create the job, right? Very important to have a good business plan. We do have a business plan writer, pretty good, that can help you with your project. Then you're probably gonna need economic expert in like looking at the performer, looking at the cost to build, looking at the cash flow, 5 year, 10 year, and then generates economic report for you, right? And they call it in-plan economic model, right? I don't know. I have no idea about that. I'm just a real estate investor like you guys. I have no idea about economic. Every time I say I receive an economic report, I used to hire Dr. Paul Summer from Seattle University. He teaching economic in the Seattle U, helping me with the report. And Dr. Summer, it's really smart. I'm not that smart. So that's why I can only hire smart people work with me, right? So
That's the
you
best
can
way.
about that. All right, so next one is feasibility consultant, right? You got to have the feasibility study performed by a third party like Brian O'Connell. It's a good source, like a third party. So what if you can see that, yes, you don't have to have a regional center in order for you to get your project certified that allow investor to invest with you and get U.S. citizenship, because we already have a regional center. We own the regional center approved by federal government, right? What we do is that we're going to sponsor you. We sponsor your project. You see it right here, right? Yeah, but it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of legal work to submit to the, Department of Homeland Security, a regional center, right? That takes a lot of time. Your job as an investor is you want to raise money, you want to help investor to get U.S. citizenship, and you want to build your project, right? So, your job is not to go through the legal process, all that, right? Regional center program, and then all the legal aspect of putting together the fund, right? So you have to put together a fund. You have to make it. To the eye of the U.S. government that you are a great company, great project, right? So what would be the document that ready for you to get on the market, helping people get citizenship, helping the investor to invest, right? And get the funding that you need to fund your project, right? So of course I wrote down here the business plan, economic report, master of whole compliant business plan, right? The economic impact report with the job creation analysis, right? So then the legal document, what do you need for your real estate deal, for your real estate development, right? And I really think that, if you should invest together in, create a project. And the feasibility study, right? You need to get a budget for the project, and then you need to get a financial performer. You also need a market study, comparative market analysis for your deal, right? Yeah. So then the supporting document that you need the offering memorandum. You need to have, if you're gonna say like, if you're gonna go with loan model, you're gonna go like, I'm gonna do like $100 million deal, and then I go to the bank gonna say, well, Mr. Developer, Mr. Real Estate Investor, go and get your 30% equity down payment, and then we're gonna finance you the 70%, right? But in that case, you're gonna say, well, I have a $100 million deal, I need to have a $30 million in order for me to get the construction loan, in order for me to get the debt. And this is the way to do it, right? And you look at like, well, it's $100 million deal. If I'm gonna get it done, and then I rent it, I stabilize the asset, it's gonna become like 50 million, for example, then I'm probably going to make like $50 million in profit, for my group, for my investor. But then I said, if it's 100 million, then we need $30 million equity in order to get a $70 million construction loan, right? This is where you get into OPM, right? Other people money, right? Right? So this is the concept that you can get the equity, right? And so you can do this. You can allow investors to come into your JCE, your project, real estate at a loan model, which means like I own you. So you loan me the money for equity, right? I'm issuing the share. And then you're gonna be like, if 900K, you need 30 million, you're probably gonna need like 34 investors for you to come up with the $30 million equity that you need on your funding. And then you bring it to the bank, you get the debt, you get a construction loan to start your project, right? Yeah, so it's a one thing about creative financing. I'm pretty sure that you learn about like seller financing. That's a great source. But EB-5 financing, guys, it's a great source. $3 billion is already invested here in Seattle, Tupelo, Everett, right? Even the I-520 bridge, our partnership, funded the I-520 bridge on the bond EB-5 side, right? So you can allow investors to come into your deal as an equity investors, right? Or you can set it up like a mezzanine loan in the second position that subordinate the construction to EB-5, right? And the interest rate, again, the reason we're using EB-5 is investor invest into your real estate project. Their motivation to invest is to get the US citizenship, not the return on the investment, right? So you have to look at that way, and that's why we can. It's a win-win situation. Win-win for you as an investor, because you got a lower interest for your fund, right? Win-win for the government here, local government here, because we created a job, we pay more taxes, right? That's a good thing. And third, it's win-win for the investor. Investor invest, they got the return, and they get the US citizenship, right? And if you think about like, okay, situation like in China right now with 1.4 billion people, and then with the CCP, China Communist Party, imagine like, okay, so how would that be, right? And if you're gonna be like 12 million people in Hong Kong, you used to live with the UK for 100 years, like Seattle, that's how we live our life here. And then things turn upside down, we don't have, and all of that is gone, right? Get what? You got to seek in a different residency to protect yourself, your wealth, and your family, right? And then if you think that you're from Taiwan, right, you got all the 29 million people there, and then you don't know that when your country will be taken over, right? So their motivation from the investor to invest into the project, and believe me or not, it's great to be in the US. I'm one of them, because life is great here, right? Despite all the challenge that we have, life is great here, and it's no place on earth is better than the US, right? So then look at the last one, right? Subscription agreement, right? So you make sure that you really put in yourself a fund that good, right? That comply with the federal government, right? My advice for you, because I used to be a Windermere owner here. I hold in designated broker license. I also hold in instructor license with the state of Washington, but I'm holding designated for the regional center with the federal government, right? If you're dealing with the U.S. federal government, you have to have the great legal team, right? To help you, to protect you. You don't want to mess around with federal government. Trust me on that one, okay, guys? Right? So everybody have a lot of negative things about EB-5 investment and all that. Please, protecting yourself, right? Make sure do it right. Federal government it's not a joke. You have federal government, it's not a joke. You got to be taken very seriously, right? So why invest? Why the investor invest into a licensed regional center, right? Because it fast qualify foreign investor and family to obtaining the green card, right? And man, trust me on it. I'm one of the 2 million people from Vietnam that escaped Vietnam, come to the US. We have about 250,000 Vietnamese here in the Puget Sound area. So we know how it is, the value of coming to the US and get the US green card, right? So the next thing that investor invest is, they want a US citizenship. They want to go to University of Washington, Seattle University, and they don't want to pay 3 times more than a US resident, right? I think about that, right? So they don't want to create a business that create 10 jobs. It's really hard to do that in the US. They want to be passive investor, right? So there's no need to create a business for the investor. That's what they wanted to do, right? And then they get US citizenship and the money returned back to them in 5 years, right? So that's a great thing. Get the US citizenship, get the return on investment, and the money returned back to them in 5 years, right? So they invest to a regional center, but the money had to be a legitimate source for the investment. Now, if you know that there is a demand and a supply, that's why we in real estate business, right? So the demand is really high. The demand, you look at Bellevue, most of the immigrant come is from Asia, either China, Vietnam, or India, right? You know, I mean, all the community too, but what I'm saying, there's a huge demand. The last 4 years, very challenging, you know, compared to the last 30 years in the US, right? So there's a backlog and there's so much demand. And investor, and why the investor gonna invest with you in your real estate project, right? Because the investor can put money in your project as a passive investor and forget about it. You creating the job, you build the project, you know, you pay the contractor, you pay the land acquisition, you pay the permit, right? You know, we got the services that collecting all that receipt, all the invoice, and then we submit it to USCIS. Like, listen, the investor invest the money, it creating the job, right? And so the investor, they invest in Seattle, they can live in New York, they can live in California, they can live anywhere, right? And the children and the husband and wife and the children under 21 receive a green card, right? So, you know, that's a little bit about EB-5 program that I wanted to share with our member today, because I haven't seen, because of COVID, I haven't seen you guys for a long time, right? But I tell you one thing, if there are $3 billion that invested in Seattle and Puget Sound area in the next 10 years, because the U.S. Right now we in the area of the pro-immigration, right? Government. And I do think the program is gonna go to the next level in terms of help to fund local real estate projects that creating a job, right? So I look at the opportunity of what we can do, what we can come together, you know, working on the project, right? So that would be a great thing. That would be a great, and I think this is the time to really take a look at this creative financing, right? And utilize that, you know, for your own real estate investment, right? So I wanted to, if you guys wanted to learn about more about how do I create a fund for my project, right? At a project developer investor, you know, and you know, talk to us. We'll you know, we share any way that we can. You know, I know that you know, you guys only allow for me to speak in like for 30 minutes. I already speak for 1 hour.
No, you're good on over
Perfect.
an hour. You're good.
I hope that, like, but this is great information. It is an experience talk that it's a good information I wanted to share with you, right? And so, if again, let me know if any question you guys have for me. We can chat with a few questions before I turn it
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
really quick here, Michael. There was some questions coming in, and I think part of it is that trying to clarify a little bit of what you're talking about. I'm going to go through. There's 5 questions here. Some will answer through the other answers. First one was the minimum project size to qualify for EB-5 equity funding. What's your minimum project size generally?
That is a great question. And I think the project size, I think the minimum it would be, I think it would be like $10 million.
Okay.
That including land acquisition, entitlement, interest carry, construction cost. Yeah.
Okay, so total project cost.
Total project cost. Yeah.
Okay. And so on some of that, I think some of these questions in here, when you say invest, is the investment required to be structured as an equity position, all of that. So we're not investing into EB-5. It's if we have a project, you have foreign investors that are going to put money into your fund, or the EB-5 money fund will come in and partner into our project, and in turn they're looking for a green card instead of a necessary interest rate or equity position or however it's structured, but it's not that we're investing into the fund. Is that correct?
Yes. The investor, which is a limited partnership, invest into a fund that's certified and sponsored by a regional center, right? And the fund is invest into your project.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was some confusion of, are we investing into the fund or, just trying to do a broad overview here. So the foreign investors invest into the fund. That fund will invest into our project in some sort of position, either equity or debt or however it's structured in the operating agreement or memorandum.
That's right. The fund, the Green Card Fund is from the limited partnership, and we are the general partner that will invest into the project at a loan model. Right? We set it up for the interest rate and paying back, when the project build and stabilize or sell, to pay the investor back.
Right.
Or invest it. A fund also have an option to invest at an equity into the project, right? So we're flexible. That we write a loan document for our limited partnership.
Right. So the kind of the overview purpose is it's like you stated earlier, it's a win-win where we have foreign investors that their benefit is going to be coming in and getting a green card for citizenship and that type of thing. We have real estate developers that need to get funding for a project. So the fund will come in and do that 30% down payment or whatever, and then they'll be able to go to the bank and get the balance of the funding, the 70%. We can build the project, and then once it's stabilized, everything either gets refinanced or paid back or whatever. So the whole premise to this is the EB-5 portion of it is foreign investors coming in, partnering on building large projects, and everybody wins. Is that a good overview?
That is the correct. That is a good overview of the program.
Okay.
And then, on our website, we listed about 15 different projects, EB-5 projects, anything from equity to loan, right? So that we can see, but pretty much like, yes, the EB-5 investor is coming to a fund sponsored by a licensed regional center. That would partner with the project developer owner, right, to providing the equity or the loan. but then the whole thing is the project, it will be build, entitle, develop, build, and stabilize, right? And then exit. However, we exit according to the written business plan that we submitted.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That would be
some of the questions.
you know, Jeff, you're going to be a good. You already know pretty good about this program.
I'm trying to figure it all out. We've looked at it a little bit previously in another number of years ago now, and then just never followed up with it. But I'm reading through the questions here. So we're supposed to start our own fund, or do we partner with Michael? So again, trying to cover these to where you would have to put together a business plan. It's going to be a larger project. One of the questions is residential assisted living or a small project like flipping a house. No, that's not going to fall in there. It's going to be a larger project. And then the EB-5 money is a way to fund that initial 30% cost, plus or minus 30% there, to get the equity there, to get the large financial institutions to have the build out cost. The whole project gets built and stabilized, and then it gets all refunded back, or excuse me, refinanced or sold, or whatever your exit strategy is. See, and then how is profit sharing with the people who run the project? Again, it's going to be a big project, and that's going to be in your operating agreement and your memorandum of how it's set up. So it's basically more of a build. It's not necessarily profit sharing. Hopefully these are answering some of these.
Yeah, you know, however however you structure it, you know, in terms of profit,
right,
or an equity, or it's just going to be a loan into the project and get paid, right, without ownership. Yeah.
And then another question: are these applicable to build and sell projects, or only to build and hold? And I think it's either, depending on what your plan is, right? You can initially it's going to be to build it, stabilize it, and then have that exit strategy, whether it's refinance and hold with equity positions, or if it's to sell, it would be a sell. So it could be either, correct?
It can be either. It can be either. It can be build. It can be build and sell, or it can be build and hold. You know that. I'll take a look at all. I take a look at all the real estate project in the EB-5 industry. You know, for the last 25 years, most of the project is 92% of the EB-5 funding, EB-5 financing is real estate, right? We have other too. We have infrastructure deal like I-520 bridge, not a bond deal with the federal government. It's also EB-5 project. When you look at like Seattle Viaduct, it's also EB-5 project, you know, but they coming into a different, it's coming to like US government bond program. But take a look at the EB-5 fund, it's 92% is real estate. But majority of the project is a hotel, because hotel is a real estate. It's also a business, you know. But it's create the most job, you know, right? Versus apartment, multifamily, right? But if you have the multifamily project apartment, then we have to use the construction job count and operational job count to determine how many indirect job per how many indirect job per investor. So it's all depend, you know, project by project base, you know. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then another question has popped up. When you say 10 million, that's total project cost, correct? For your minimum.
I would say it's a great. The 10 million that including land acquisition, entitlement costs, development, and interest carry, you know, that would be like total project cost at the minimum.
Okay.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody has a project that they're ready to go on, how would they get involved in that type of funding? Come and talk with you?
Yeah, I think, send out an email, talk to us, we can, we can look at the project, we can run the project through to see whether or not it's located within the TEA zone, yeah, target unemployment area zoning,
Right.
and then we look at the performer, and we have the construction cost and see
Mhm.
we can give a good evaluation on the project right away.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'd be more than happy to to advise on the project as well. We
Perfect. And so reach out to you and your team there and go through that. And again, I think there's some things in here. You're looking for the target unemployment areas or opportunity zones. You named those earlier. Are those, you showed a picture of the United States there, and there was only some of the states that were red. That's not the states that you can do this in. Those, you can do this in any state as long as it meets the criteria, correct?
Yeah, you mentioned about the TEA zoning for the EB-5, and that is different than the opportunity zoning. They're both federal approved zoning, right?
Right.
But in today's program, we only talk about like TEA EB-5 zoning. There's the investment of the real estate investment have to locate it within the TEA zoning, in order to qualify, or if it's not qualified, then the amount of the investment go up, from 900K to 1.8 million, right?
Okay.
But we run through our system, computer system, we be able to determine whether or not that project located. So for example, we in Seattle, Bellevue, right? I can tell you that, the project like King-Fi new headquarters, it's 100%, it's 156 million. It's all 100% funded by EB-5. And then you look at the Embassy Suite Hotel recently built, right? During the COVID, it's on the north side of the Seahawks Stadium, that EB-5 project, right? The Alaska Marriott Hotel on Belltown, it's an EB-5 project, right? And then you look at the Embassy Suite Hotel, the 24-story building, but right next door to it, they're building on the east and building on the west. They're both EB-5 project, right? And then you look at the project, the new Hyatt 4-point hotel in Kowloon Park in Renton, right? That is the EB-5 project. That's $110 million invested in that project. So if you're talking to the owner there, or you talk to the management there, that's all EB-5 project. And then you take a look at the 21-story, it built right in the Tukwila. It's one of the tallest building in Tukwila, right? And so that is the EB-5 project. There's 114 million invested into that project, right? So there are over, I think there are over like 80 different projects, over like $3 billion that invested locally in the Western Washington. That then you can see, how many of those projects are located within the TEA, zoning, but we do have the way that can determine the zoning for the TEA. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you touched on it earlier. The reason it needs to be in the employment stuff, and like you said, the hotels are better than multifamily because multifamily doesn't employ enough people, and you're looking for jobs created. That's part of that EB-5 program. And you said per investor, per 900,000 or something like that. I don't remember the number. I think you said 10 jobs. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the this is the yeah. So the 10 job per investor. So 10 indirect job per investor. So what
Right.
does that mean by direct job and indirect job? You know, if you're a foreign investor, you buy a McDonald's or Burger King, you know, you hire 10 people in order for you to qualify to get a
Right.
employment-based visa. So that's different. Then you have to directly manage that business, create 10 jobs. You know, if you lose that 10 jobs, your visa is going to be jeopardized as well. But indirect job, you mean indirect job. So like say we're using the implant economic model. We're using, we assessing the amount of job based on the performer and the business plan, right?
Right.
So for example, you know, if we have the operational job, one direct job, it creates, you know, 7 indirect job. You know, like if we have a worker working there, you know, tendency, you know, he's gonna have to buy, you know, some supply, buying food, and you have a subcontractor to build that, and you got the subcontractor company, they provide X amount of job, and then, you know, the people that indirectly providing the material and all that needed for the subcontractor, right? So one direct job equal to like 7 or 8 indirect job, depend to the model that we just gonna use the total indirect job that allow per project to determine how many investors we can allow to get into that project. And
right.
So I'm not an economic, like I say, you know, I'm an investor like you know, but you know, we got really good economic report for the project.
Right, that's what I was trying to, sorry, when you were talking about how many investors could be in there, I think that was a little confusing for some people. So that was, it depends on what the project is as to how many jobs it creates, equates how many investors you can bring into that, which is the dollar amount. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So hopefully that clarifies for some people out there.
Yeah, no, that's why I know that, I know today got a short amount of time. This program is, there's a lot more in it to learn when you're doing it, right? So that's why I'm more than happy to, you know, to host a class, you know, to helping you as an investor, or you have your own fund that you created, you know, you're sort of helping you to raise money for your own fund to do the project, right? Or you are developers or partner in the deal that you wanted to get EB-5 financing, you know, and so we're more than happy to help. I know that this is the comprehensive program for investor and for the developer owner, you know, so yeah, there's more into it to learn, right? But I got really good team that working with me for a long time, security attorney, economist, and immigration attorney, you know, and yeah, so we have a team that can really, I like to bring them together to have like a one-day class, like can teaching and sharing this good program. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe we can work on that, Angelique. Get people that are interested in it, work on a class on a Saturday or something, or put something together. But here we thought we were going to learn everything we needed to know about EB-5 in 1 hour tonight.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot to. I appreciate you know, the RIP and the organization allow for me to have an opportunity to share with you this great program. I do think the time to act and be part of a solution for our community, for our country, is right now, because we are about to enter a new era of immigrant, you know, and immigrant investor program, you know, that dearly to my heart, because that's where I came from, you know,
right,
and be able to come back and help so many people and provide them the pathway to come to the U.S. It is my passion, and I wanted to be able to help the people that come to the U.S. that gonna have a dream, you know, like myself and my family, right? So I think it's good. Puget Sound, Bellevue, Seattle, Federal Way, Everett, we are highly immigrant populated, you know, and the immigrants have contributed greatly to the growth of our local economy, and it will continue to grow. You know, if there, so I really encourage you to learn more about this this funding, this investment model, right? And utilize that, you know, for your own project, for your own investment. You know, that's what you know. That's I've been on this like 15 years. This is my thing. I very loving it. I think that, you know, together as a community, we're creating this great PPP, private-public partnership, that we're gonna do some great deal for our, you know, for our local economy here. That's gonna help with the shortage housing crisis that we have, you know, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. According to the National Builder Association, and they say that in the U.S., the builder have to build 3.9 million more homes in order to meet the demand of the market. And so you see that the real estate residential grow by 17.6% according to the Northwest Multiple Listing Survey last year compared to this year, right? Yeah, and I can see that the demand is rising, you know, and to be able to come together as an investor community, put in the fund together, and raising the fund and helping to build more housing, that's gonna creating more jobs, and the local municipality gonna be happier because they get more taxes, right? Yeah, so it's all a good thing.
Right.
Yeah. So with that, you know, I hope that you can, you know, pick up some good information and apply that into your own business. And I appreciate it, Rip. I appreciate Angeline and Jeff. You guys allow for me to be here today. Yeah, thank you for that.
Sure, Michael. Who would you like people to contact at your organization?
Well, you know, you can number one is that you can call the office. You know, the phone number would be like, I'll send it out, 206-322-DEAL, right? DEAL. Or calling me on my cell phone, which is like 206-310-DEAL, DEAL. Or the email at deal@mlcompany.co, right? Yeah. Any question, just let us know. Yeah. But I really encourage for you to go and do driving around and take a look at all the property that we listed on the website. And yeah, those are the property that benefit from the EB-5 funding in the last 15 years.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a few. There's a couple. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's where, trying to read all the questions that are popping up here. How do you recommend a newbie investor take advantage of the program? And I think probably a big part is just trying to understand it and learn, you know, there's a lot of ins and outs, obviously, of it. You've been doing it 15 years. Reach out.
Yeah,
any other questions, Angelique? Did I catch all those questions? I think so.
And Michael, what's the website?
The regional center is you can go to the website mlcompany.co. The regional center for is USAsiaPacific.com. Yeah, and you know, and yeah, talk to the FCC lawyer or talking to the immigration lawyer if you have any question about that, or, you know, contact our office, you know. But sometimes you can take advantage of this program by partner with each other on a project.
Right.
When I say the $10 million minimum, I really recommend it a minimum of 10 million or more, right? Because you look at the business plan, doing the offering document, and doing the economic report, and going and raising the fund. So I think it makes it worthwhile to do a medium or larger deal by partner with each other to do that. Yeah.
So what happens if you have a $10 million deal and it ends up costing 12 million? How do you raise that additional 2 million?
That's a great question. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought it up. You know, the project in Tukwila, the 22-story in Tukwila, it used to be a Circuit City building, right? Right. So it sold for like $4.6 million. And then we happen to be in that area. We have the rezone. Tukwila have a rezone area, pretty good. That project is overrun by $10 million. That project overrun by $10 million. Right. So when you are an investor, developer, when you have the project overrun, well, that become a normal language right now. Look at the wood, look at the construction material. How is that changed compared to last year, right? Imagine, right? So overrun on the project is something that become like any project that you go out to bid last year, 2020, and now you're gonna be building it now. You know, I have my own project. Most of our subcontractor, they would drop it. They don't want it to do it. Good. Right now, they have to rebid it, right?
Right.
So I have a deal that I bid for 18.6 million, right? We have to rebid it for 23 million. So it's very normal right now because of the overrun. Labor is run up, material run up right now. So whenever you get an overrun on a project, so let's say, for example, your project, based on the business plan, based on economic report, your project can raise up to X amount of investor, right? So let's say that it's allowed for you to raise up to like 100 investors. Each investor with 900K, you raise up to $90 million, right? But you only want to raise about like 80% or 75%, right? So in the event that your project overrun, you can go to EB-5 fund, right? And raise an additional investor. I would recommend it that way. You don't want to use maximally the amount allowed per project, right? And then you leave that cushion there. So in the event you need more funding, you can go back and raise more money from the investor, right? Which is like easier, better than go back to the bank and ask them to raise the construction loan, and that's going to be a nightmare. That'd be really hard to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it more challenging for you to find investors, EB-5 investors, or projects?
Well, for me, like I have office in Vietnam, and then I travel to Asia. I do the US-Asia roadshow. I work with broker there all the time, so I can find the investor, right? I can find the investor. Well, it's really easy to find the investor. It's easier to sell something that is already sold before you get there. Which is the US, right? So the question is, easier to find investors or to find a project. Well, for me, it's easy to find investor, but for you haven't done it before. And, you go into different country, different language, different custom, you find your way to talk to the people. They don't know about you. They don't know, there is the trust issue. There is the trust issue that you have to build up, the trust rapport, right? You have to build up. You don't have enough time to do that. So that can be a challenge. but you know, I mean, if you this is what you, if you're going to adopt this business model and working on this program, and you committed yourself to work 3 to 5 years, then the more you do it, the easier for you. In my case, that's my passion. If I don't make any money, I still doing it, right? So that would be easier for me. But finding the project, you know, yeah. So the capital market is much easier now to find capital for the project, you know. But different time, yeah. So I would say that, yeah, it finding investor easier, finding the project also depend to good, depending what type of project, how do you look at the project. So we have to evaluate the project before we take on the project. Make sure the project gonna get entitled, developed, built, and the job created, right? We don't want it to get into a project where the developer owner end up not going to be able to execute a business plan, and the project is not built, the job is not created. That's going to put the investor in a jeopardized situation. Yeah.
What are some of the most, you said hotels seem to be the most common project. Is that because of the jobs created, or what are some of the higher jobs created projects?
Yeah, the hotel have the real 92% of EB-5 fund loan or equity is a commercial real estate, but the hotel is probably the one that leading, because the hotel is a real estate construction and an operational job count, and then you got a business, right? The business operated. So, and then senior housing is pretty high volume of job created, right? Versus the apartment create less job. But if you depend to, if you have a project that a larger project like a 200 unit apartment, and the construction is gonna take like 24 months or more, right? So anything that anytime you have a project that creating that going for like more than 2 years, so all the construction job plus the operational job, you know. So even when I say residential apartment, it's still like how large is the project, you know, and how long they're gonna complete that project as well. Yeah. So it just depends. It just all depends. Yeah. And the yeah. So then I saw EB-5 can invest into you know, manufacturing. I also see like subdivision residential, right? Subdivision residential and senior housing hotel. We have a lot of mixed use, you know, like the Firewood 2, you know, 2-level podium retail, office or residential that are very popular. Yeah.
Okay.
And we see a lot of those military housing or student housing. Yeah. Also access to invest. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
That is great. That is really good question. That is really good question. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, you know, I really appreciate, you know, everybody time today. You know, you taking time from you know, from your schedule to be here at this meeting, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing such a unique topic to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Michael. We learned quite a bit.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
There you go. I like it.
Over here.
Yeah. So you guys have a great evening, and you know, call us, email us, or with any question. We always here. You know, I think COVID gonna be ended in most of the Asian country will be open in August, right? You know, European Union is already open for American with a COVID passport. But according to my sources, you know, in August, September, most of the Asian countries will be open as well, so that we can go, you know, and we can go and meet with our investor.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank you,
great.
Michael.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of which, our May 27th meeting will be live, and the ballroom capacity has 400 people. So at 25%, we can have 100 people come out. So come on out and join us May 27th for our live event. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.